R.S. Sharma Sahib, a doyen in the communication space and someone who has been very forthright and very clear in his articulation throughout his career, contributed to the structural integrity of infrastructure in India in many, many avatars. On the dais with me, former chairperson of BIF and someone who's always been, I wouldn't say knocking at my door, but banging at my door, Mr. T.V. Ramchandranji, and someone who I've grown to not only respect but be very fond of. It reminds me of a army general in his approach. My old colleague who has worked with me on the ground, rolled up his sleeves with me, and got into the dust and dirt of the rural hinterlands of Madhya Pradesh, Osama Manzar. And ladies and gentlemen, seated here today, representing a sector that will truly unshackle mankind across the globe on this planet Earth. On this World Wi-Fi Day, let me first of all congratulate you all. It's a day that must be celebrated across the world because it is a day that, as I said, removes the shackles which were once limited to access to capital, which were once limited to access to infrastructure, now limiting mankind from access to information. And what do I mean by these three analogies? Access to wealth 100 years ago, or access to rather capital, was the key divider that would prevent or would keep entrepreneurism at bay. Access to infrastructure 100 years ago, prior to the Industrial Revolution, was what was the physical divide between those who could grow and those whose growth was curtailed. And today, access to information is the difference between lighting a flame for entrepreneurship and keeping it doused. And therefore, this World Wi-Fi Day is extremely seminal because what it does is that it puts into perspective a day to celebrate an invisible form of a power and an energy that is capable of powering visible change. And that truly represents the power of Wi-Fi. It is a day when we sit back and look at the capability that this energy gives us. It gives us a freedom to connect. It gives us a freedom to create. And it gives us a freedom to rise in the digital age of the world. And therefore, as the speakers before me have enunciated so beautifully, whether it is the democratization of this technology, spreading it across the length and breadth of India, because India's power lies in her population. India's power lies in her demographic dividend. 1.4 billion of us, 18% of the world's population, and 70% of us below the age of 35. You're talking about almost 1 billion people. That's the energy that Bharat Mata espouses, not only for India, but for the world today. And it is our job as catalysts, and I always say this, our job in government today is not to be a regulator. Our job in government today is to be a facilitator. We need to open those new vistas. We need to provide opportunity. And as R.S. Sharma ji just said, our job is to be company or technology agnostic. And I've said this, Sharma ji, on the floor of Parliament. Our job is to be company or technology agnostic. But our job is to be customer centric. And our responsibility is towards 1.4 billion of our country's brothers and sisters. Our job is to provide every opportunity to them. Our job is to provide every technology to them. Our job is to make sure that Moore's law operates in the economic sphere, that as volume rises, prices fall. And that is what you have seen in the 10 years of Prime Minister Modi's government, where a voice call, I remember when I came back from Harvard University in 1993 as a banker, we didn't have a single one of these boxes in our country. The first 6 licenses were given out for the first 6 cities in 1994. At that time, one box would cost 1 lakh rupees. We used to be charged 16 rupees a minute. 10 years ago, we were charged 50 paise a minute. Today, we are charged 0.03 paise a minute. I can't even convert that into cents. And data. 1 GB of data used to cost 200. I want to correct R.S. Sharma ji. It's very difficult to correct R.S. Sharma ji normally. But it used to cost R.S. Sharma ji 287 rupees. Today it costs 9 rupees per GB, which is 11 cents. And what is the world's average cost per GB? You'll be shocked. $2.49. So India operates at 5% of the world's cost. This is democratization of technology. Today we have fiber, we have broadband, we have Wi-Fi, we have mobile, and soon enough, we will also have satellite. Our job is to provide as many avenues as possible, and within each vertical as well, provide intense competition. It's not good enough having a duopoly or 1 carrier or 2 carriers. You must have competition in every sector. India today is probably the only country in the world with 4 telcos. Incessant competition in ISPs. Now with BharatNet, we will have BNUs, BharatNet Udyamis, across the length and breadth of our country. Those of us who lived in that era, and I don't want to tell you what my age is, but I remember those days when PCOs the advent of PCOs happened in this country. Our BNUs will be the modern your PCOs. Provide entrepreneurship opportunities. And similarly in the case of Wi-Fi. And look at where our wireless landscape is going. And when I talk about our wireless landscape, I talk about the whole co-hosting of services that are possible. We are going to go from our current 15 billion to almost close to about 70 billion by 2035. One vertical. And within that vertical alone, if you look at the Wi-Fi segment, that Wi-Fi segment alone will be 22 billion by 2035. That's the steep path of growth. And India is the only country, let me tell you, that provides this exponential growth. I was in Barcelona for the World Mobile Congress, and I was amazed. Across the world, the telecom space is shrinking from a point of view of growth, is shrinking from a point of view of capex. It is only in India that you've rolled out 5G in 22 months, close to 5.5 lakh BTSs, 5 lakh crores worth of investment, covering 99.6% of districts and 82% of population. It's only possible in India. It's only possible in India at the Prime Minister's resolve, where 4 countries have a monopoly in terms of telco equipment for 4G. China, Finland, Sweden, and Korea. 5 companies in 4 countries. Today, a public sector company like C-Dot combines with a private sector company like Tejas with an Indian SI like TCS, and we produce our own 4G stack, becoming only the 5th country in the world to have telecom technology. So for us, literally, it's not a euphemism, it's not a cliche. The sky is the limit. From Wi-Fi to satellite. And India today has become the leader, ladies and gentlemen. You are responsible and you must be saluted for that. We have become the leaders of the digital world across the globe. We talked about transactions. Osama talked about transactions. Today, you'll be amazed, 46% of the digital transactions in the world happen in India. 46% in one country. Not the US of A, not all of Europe, not China. 46% in India. But we have, as the old adage goes, miles to go before we sleep. The woods are dark and deep, miles to go before we sleep. We have a long journey to go ahead. But penetration is moving fast and moving into the rural hinterlands. To elaborate on what Osama said, we are starting on 5G use cases where? We are not starting on 5G use cases in cities, not Bombay, not Delhi, not Bengaluru, not Hyderabad. We are starting with 5G use cases in 13 villages from Andhra Pradesh to Madhya Pradesh, across the country, to prove the 5G use case model. 10 services, 13 villages. My passion has been rural India. Gandhiji said, India will rise, she will rise from her villages. भारत की आत्मा गांव में रहती है और मैं गांव का आदमी हूं. So, I want to put at rest our penetration even on Wi-Fi has to be country-wide. It has to be wide and it has to be deep. And which is why, when we talk about the Wi-Fi segment as far as India is concerned, this flame that was lit in 2020 by Prime Minister himself, he has the ability to be able to see things far quicker and much in advance than the rest of the world. And I'm saying this to you because I have learned this by experience from him. When I became Civil Aviation Minister, the first statement he said to me, I want India to become the drone capital of the world by 2030. At that point of time, we didn't even know what drones were. Today, the usage of drones across India for every practical purpose that you can think of. And his approach of whole of government, 16 ministries were mandated first that you will use drones for everything. Can you imagine cadastral surveys, Osama, in rural India being done by drones? So today, that is becoming a reality. And the same thing in telecom. Ubiquitous connectivity, all pervasive connectivity. And therefore, his dream of PM Wani, Prime Minister's Wi-Fi access network interface, to every village, to every citizen across the length and breadth of this country. Imagine this. 3 examples I'll give you. A shop owner, let's say in a city like Varanasi, puts up a 3,000 rupee router. And that person has the capability to generate Wi-Fi hotspots linking every student, every gig worker, every shopkeeper in that area. He becomes a multifaceted entrepreneur. Pune, for example, is becoming the home of IT. Think of a young app developer in Pune that now becomes an app provider that can help you locate the closest Wi-Fi hotspot and simply click and log in. And third, think of a mall owner in Guwahati that becomes a public data office aggregator who takes care of the backhaul of hundreds of PDOs and starts a new business. This, ladies and gentlemen, for you are examples of this value chain where you not only create public access to Wi-Fi, but you're able to create multiple opportunities for entrepreneurship. And this is India's example of grassroots connectivity. A connectivity which is steeped in simplicity, a connectivity which is driven by inclusion, and a connectivity that is blessed by innovation. These are the 3 characters of this industry, which will help multiple industries to flower across the length and breadth of our country. And as the speakers before me have spoken, Arunaji has spoken about the technical aspects. 16 September 2024, we sat down and said, we want to create a new landscape for this sector. If it has to be all pervasive, it has to permeate, it must be a new landscape. And what was that new landscape? Allowing PDOs to access your FTTH connections, thereby making every storefront a digital powerhouse. Number 1. Number 2, making sure that you have a shared backhaul. And what does that allow you? That allows you to make sure that your isolated dots on your digital highway become islands of an archipelago that weave together, like we say in Chanderi, Tana and Bana, warp and weft, together and make a mosaic. Third, when we look at a humble home or an office router with just a new SSID card, that will serve as a gateway to the national commons, digital commons. And fourth, when you make sure that there's seamless roaming across PDOs, which means a person that's going from Kochi to Kohima never gets disconnected. And at the same time, you allow a fusion of mobile data offloading, which means when you go from the spectrum-based mobile system onto a Wi-Fi system, thereby saving valuable spectrum space as well. These 5 elements have created a new metaphysical environment in which Wi-Fi can be all pervasive. And I commit you this, that in the days to come, we will ensure that from a policy perspective, not from a regulator's perspective, but from a facilitator's perspective, we will lay out the platform so as to make sure that we connect every disconnected citizen across the length and breadth of our country. We already have close to about 3.5 lakh hotspots. And all this is happening without spectrum, without bureaucratic red tape. And India today is showing the world how to move. India today is showing the world how it can be done. And therefore, we must celebrate this journey, not with applause, but with purpose. Every hotspot must convert, and I would like Osama, yourself, Arunaji, to concentrate on this. You must convert every hotspot into a hope spot. Because the amount of opportunities that will arise from this new service will be immeasurable. We must ensure that every connection churns another chance, and every byte carries within it millions of heartbeats of our fellow Indians across the length and breadth of our country. We have now delicensed and awarded, refarmed the 6 gigahertz spectrum, the lower end of that spectrum, which is today not a luxury. Today it's a necessity. And that will give us what? It will give us to our industry multi-gigabit speeds, ultra-low latency, low-cost digital highways. That will spawn, it will spawn multiple businesses, multiple opportunities. Think of it this way. 100 years ago, in the Industrial Revolution, you meaning us humans, built physical roads and physical railways. The Vanderbilts, the Carnegies. Today, India is #1 in building the first digital highway. It's an invisible pipe, but the content in that pipe is what is going to change the lives of people not across our country, but across the world. And that avishkar, that navachar will emanate, ladies and gentlemen, from no other country in the world, but from our Bharat Mata. And therefore, delicensing the 6 gigahertz spectrum was key in that movement. As Sharma ji has said, other countries have done it. But I guarantee you that our rules for this will be out either on or before Independence Day of this year. That freedom for every single citizen will be mandated by Prime Minister Modi's government within the next couple of months. Now, 2 final points I'd like to elucidate on. The first, we must ensure that this pipe is one that is spread across the length and breadth of our country. It is like the arteries of the heart. And therefore, the digital divide between Bharat and India has to be obliterated by this technology. And for that, we're not only looking at the ground. Many of the speakers before me talked about OFC, but we are also looking at the skies. Satellite, LEO and MEO, both have become today a reality in India. Spectrum will be assigned on an administrative basis. 3 licenses have been given out, and those areas that were never connected will become connected in India. The second, the first is access. The second point is affordability. And here I must appeal to my industry, my chip makers, my OEMs, my device makers. We must ensure that we are able to produce devices at nominal cost to allow our citizens to connect onto this technology. We cannot allow devices to become the new digital divide in our country. And therefore, if you look at the three components of this space, number one, your terrestrial fiber, number two, your satellite connectivity, and number three, devices at nominal cost. All three together represent the bouquet that present the opportunity for our countrymen and women to power forward and innovate in their lives. And that is what the mandate of the Telecom Ministry is, to ensure that we provide that landscape for every single citizen across our country. Final words, I'd like to say that in India, I certainly believe that connectivity is not a commodity. It is a tool of empowerment. It is an act of nation building. And therefore, on this World Wi-Fi Day, let us commit ourselves that we will light up every single rural home. We will empower every aspiring mind, and we will strengthen every public service with the power of Wi-Fi. Together, let us make Wi-Fi stand for widespread inclusion for future India. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, sir, for that powerful and inspiring address. Your vision gives new momentum to the digital application and aspirations of our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, as we gather today to celebrate the World Wi-Fi Day 2025, it is now time to felicitate an exemplary leadership and pioneering vision